So now I'm going to actually show you how to analyze data within Tableau. So I actually have a folder here with my Shark Tank data, and so all I really have to do is drag to this area here once I have Tableau open. And you can see here that, expand that, you can see that this data set loaded, and you can see the different fields, how Tableau perceives the field. Is it numeric? Is it character? Is it a date? And you can also see the records themselves here, right? I can see the records and what that looks like. So we want to start exploring our data based on different questions that we might have, or some fields that we want to sort of reason about or understand. So the first step is to go to a worksheet. And I think of these as, they're kind of pill shaped, so I might refer to them as pills. But you can kind of see I have all of the different fields here. And so let's start with the total deal amount, right? Total deal amount. If I really care about that field or want to understand what the total deals were in amounts, I can actually go ahead and just drag that field there. It actually summarizes the total deal amount for me, right? So across those 16 seasons, I can see that there's over 247 million in deal money that was secured by different pitches across those seasons. So that will be interesting, right, to know, or helpful to know. But what if I want to understand, how deal amounts spread or how they vary across the different pitches, right? So what's the, sort of the different sizes, and what I can actually look at is the distribution of the deal amounts, and that would be through a histogram. So I'll go to another worksheet here, and you can see if I go to the deal amount again, there's actually different. Let me actually move my face here. There's different types of summaries that are suggested, right? Different types of charts or summaries that are suggested. I'm going to click on this one, the histogram, right? Histogram. So it actually shows me the deal amounts in groupings, right? So most of the deals are actually between, looks like 0 to 500K, and then you have total deal amount here, and then the counts, right, associated with that range. So it is actually helpful to see this, right? There are some larger deals out here, and then these are kind of more limited in terms of these larger deals, but you can kind of see the range mostly in this area here in terms of the deals and those values. So what we know now is that most of those deals are not huge, right? Most of the deals are not huge, right? There's not these giant deals that these entrepreneurs or the pitchers are getting. So we can actually dig a little bit deeper once we do some extended analyses of this field. It's kind of helpful to know what the deals are and how they vary in size, right? Or what type of distribution that those deals take on. Now, if I go back to this one here, you can see it's automatically summed, right? Tableau actually automatically aggregates measures. What I want to do is maybe I want to look at, let's not look at the sum, but let's look at the average as well, right? So in fact, the average deal is actually 294,243, right? And that actually makes sense based on this, is that most of the deals are in this range here. And I can also look at other statistics like the median as well, and that's pretty close, right? 200,000 is the median deal in terms of the pitches. So that's these are two summaries actually for one's just looking at summary statistic, and then one's looking at the sort of visualization and the distribution for a numeric quantitative variable, right? But what we often have is categorical variable that we can analyze, right? But categorical variables that we can analyze as well. So what if I'm just curious about, number of pitches by industry, right? Number of pitches by industry. So I'm actually going to go, it's not shown as a number, right? It's going to be shown as this character, right? So you can see the ABC character. So I can drag that there. And then what I also have to do is introduce a count as well, right? So I want to count the values. So what I can actually do is I can drag this industry into text. And instead of the text itself, I can change this measure to a count, right? Change that measure to a count. And you can see here that, in fact, food and beverage is the largest, and then followed by lifestyle and home. And it does make sense when you think about the seasons. If you're a viewer, you actually do see a lot of food and beverage pitches for Shark Tank. So, what if I am more of a visual person? Well, this is a table. What if I want to see the visual form of this, right? See the visual form of this. And we can do something very similar, right? I'm going to drag my my industry. I'm actually going to drag it into these shelves here, right? We call these shelves. So I know I'm going to put the industry as the row, and then let's throw the industry again as the column. But what I want to do is show, again, the measure and then the count. And you can see that it created this bar graph for me. And so if I drag this and maybe make it a little bit larger, oops. It's okay. You can see there that, I guess it wouldn't make sense either because my head's in the way. But you can see there that again, the food and beverage stands out, right? Food and beverage stands out, and lifestyle and home, and then fashion and beauty. So you can see that visually as well. So you can change these around to, if you want to see the industry on the x-axis, we call it. You can do that as well. You can even color, right? So I can put in, different colors for the industries. So that might be helpful as well, depending on your preference. But it still tells me very similar information that when I looked at that single variable, which, all these four examples is related to a single variable, I can get a decent sense of, what is in there, right? What is in there? What are some top industries? What's the average deal amount? What is the spread of different deals? What does that look like? So let's think about multiple variables, right? Multiple variables. And when I have two numeric variables or fields, quantitative, what I can do is I can actually create a scatter plot, right? The scatter plot. So maybe I want to investigate, is there sort of a relationship between the valuation that was requested, so I'll put that in the columns, and the deal amount, right? Deal amount. And let me find that again. So the total deal amount, I'm looking for, there you go. So I'll put that in my shelves. And again, I mentioned that Tableau automatically aggregates measures. And so what I want to do is actually disaggregate these measures. So I'm going to check this off. And you can see there that it has my scatter plot, or it has a scatter plot. What's also helpful is you can actually throw in a trend line in there. So I'm just going to throw in a linear trend line, and it shows me that there is a positive relationship, right? There's a subtle positive relationship between the requested valuation and the total deal amount. And if I hover over that, it actually gives me a regression equation. So what that tells me is for every additional dollar amount in the valuation requested, the deal amount increases by 0.04, right? You can see that slope coefficient there. And you can also see an R squared, which is a fit measure that ranges between 0 and 1. And the p-value is relatively low. So we would say that this outcome is statistically significant, or this relationship is statistically significant, because it's well below our typical cutoff in social sciences is 0.05. You can also, if you right click on that, you can ask Tableau to describe that trend line, and you get very similar information, right? You get very similar information, including the coefficient. You also though get the standard error and the t-statistic, and then also the p-value as well, or that p-value that we can use for hypothesis testing. So I haven't gotten there yet, but we'll go ahead and see we can actually create other summaries depending on the variable types. So let's look at maybe the industry and deal amount. So let's go and create a new sheet, and let's throw on the industry. So the industry at the top shelf, and then the total deal amount in the rows, right? So again, Tableau automatically aggregates these guys, and what I want to do is disaggregate. So I'm going to go to analysis, disaggregate those measures, and you can see it actually shows me every data point, right? Every pitch. Let's dig a little bit deeper and see what's possible. And in fact, there's actually this bar plot, or sorry, this box and whisker plot, and you can see that when I look at that box and whisker plot, it actually shows me some statistics by industry, right? It shows me visually some statistics by industry. It actually shows me some outliers too, right? So these are very large deals that were done in certain categories, and you can see there's one for travel here as well. And one thing that I wanted to point out that I didn't point out before that you may have noticed, that there's 540 null values, and I'll actually get back to that when I show this data in Google Connected Sheets. So there's actually 544 pitches that don't have a deal amount, and I'll let you sort of speculate a little bit about that. But the box plot, you can see if I hover over this, I get the statistics that I might care about, right? So you can see that the lower hinge, which is the 25th percentile, is 75,000. The median is 250,000. The 75th percentile or upper hinge is 1 million. And then you have a value out there that's at 2 million at the top there, that's at the edge of that what we call a whisker. So if you can see, or we can actually see or tell that there's actually some pitches that are very far away from the others, and we can actually see that by industry as well. So let's keep going and sort of dig a little bit deeper to see if we can look at this kind of in a different view, right? Different view in terms of this data set. So let's think about, we looked at now numeric by itself, categorical by itself. So we did counts for that categorical by itself. And then we also looked at numeric and numeric, and then categorical and numeric. So then let's look at categorical and categorical. So one idea, or one thing that you might want to investigate is whether someone got a deal and whether there's maybe a relationship between them getting a deal and the industry. So we had seen earlier that common industry for pitches was food and beverage. So let's actually see if that's also consistent with whether or not they represent the largest group for deals, right? Deals. So one of the things that we can see here, there's a got deal, and this is going to take some maneuvering, and maybe it's helpful for me for you to see sort of some of the things that we have to sort of play with when we do this. So I'm going to put up the got deal, right? That's a sum, and I'm going to throw in industry, right? I want to throw in industry as well, and you can see there it doesn't really tell me. Well, it actually does tell me, okay, food and beverage, that's the top category, but maybe I want to look at it a different way or a more common way for categorical and categorical. So I'm actually going to go to the tree map. So if we go ahead and click on that guy, you can actually see what that looks like, right? You have the food and beverage there. And one of the things I can actually go back and check is I actually already started looking at this field, this industry field. Let's look at food and beverage there. So you can actually see, right, this is the count of count of pitches is 301, but the count of deals is actually 183, right? So this actually tells me that, or suggests to me that this data is limited to, or this sum of the got deal, which is actually a 1-0 numeric field. And I'm summing up the ones, right? Summing up the ones. I can see here that that's the ones that actually got a deal. Okay, so let's we can actually add some labeling if you'd like. So let's label that, and we're gonna put got deal as part of the label as well. And we could actually change that to be so that shows us the counts, right? We could actually change that to the dimension, and it shows us the one, right? The one that it's indicating it's got deal. That's the largest industry, right, for getting a deal. So let's keep going. So what if we have time series data, right? We want to look at a trend. In this case, there's seasons, right? There's seasons. What if I want to look at a trend in maybe the average deal amount over time? So what I can do is actually at the top, I'll drag, let's take the season start and throw it in the columns. And then the deal amount we'll put in here, right? We'll put in there. So this tells me the sum, right? Maybe I want to look at what's an average or sort of typical deal by year. So let's go ahead and go to the measure and use the average, right? So you can kind of see that there. So the average went up quite a bit in 2013, and then also in 2014. It kind of hovers in this range, right? 250 to 400K in terms of the deals. You could actually even throw in a trend line, and you can see that trend line there. So there's a slight, well, it is actually not statistically significant, right? It's not statistically significant. You can see that p-values just above 0.05 or 0.06. So this is very, very slight over time, but you can kind of see obviously the jump from 2012 is pretty significant, right? Visually. All right, so that gives me some good insights, right? In terms of average deal amounts and how that may have changed or didn't really change over time for these latter years, right? Kind of hovered in the same area. But let's look at one of the other things I mentioned is sometimes we have data that's a little bit messy, right? So we have to pre-process it and clean it. In this case, I just dumped everything into Tableau to kind of feel it out and see, and sort of get us some confidence as well in terms of visualizing and summarizing data. Well, let's kind of look at this. You can actually see when I look at the deal amounts that there actually are some null values, right, or some values where there's actually no dollars in that field. And again, you can kind of infer why, but I wanted to actually know how many of those pitches or pitch data points, right? My data is a pitch level. How many of those actually have a null value? So let's look at this. What I can actually do is click on this pill, and I can go to create and calculated field. And what I want to type is, or start to type, is a function in Tableau, and it's called isNull, right? It's gonna basically test true false that condition, whether that value is null. So I'm gonna just call this null count, right? Or null, let's call it null status. Null status. So let's go ahead and hit OK, and you can see there that I can actually then use that new field as I would any other field, right? So I drag that over. Let's also put as text the count and you could see there that there's 544 records or 544 pitches that have a null amount or missing value for that deal in dollars, right? So there's no dollars associated with that particular pitch. So that kind of shows you some ways you can poke around at your data in Tableau. One other item that I want to go back to is if I go to the original, you can kind of see if I go to the deal amount, there were some other options there. For example, you can go to describe, and this actually shows you the range of values, right? The range of values, and some other information. Is it continuous, right? So it's continuous in this example for total deal amount. So it's giving you some additional information that you don't get naturally by just looking, sort of casually at the data, or by creating some of the summaries that we just created.